question I get asked a lot is, why should I, as an established brand, build a direct-to-consumer channel? I've done well without doing this forever. Retailers, wholesalers, that's our actual customers. We've been selling to them for decades. So I think, the answer that typically comes right to my mind is that you're going to see an immense amount of competition of digitally native vertical brands and direct-to-consumer brands coming up in the next few years in every single niche, and it's probably going to be a niche that you sell in today as an established brand. So if you don't establish a direct-to-consumer channel and start building actual relationships with your end customers who are the consumers of your product, you're going to find that somebody else is going to beat you to it, build a better product, and you're going to see decreased revenues, and hopefully you can get to that point of figuring it out before somebody takes you out. So number one for me, again, competition. I think that's the number one reason that you need to be thinking about establishing a direct-to-consumer channel and keeping relationships with customers that you might already have, but there's some middleman in between you and your end customer. So the second piece of why I think that's important is because it'll allow you to build better products. So right now, yes, you probably have focus groups and some background and data to see what customers like, and you're able to build your products that way. But one big problem with that is that the feedback loop. So if you're going to do that, you're going to build a product, sell it to a retailer or a wholesaler, and then get it to the end customer. That kind of feedback loop is very difficult because by the time the end customer complains, they're going to return it to the retailer, and then by the time the retailer even tells you, that's just time that you don't have and can't afford to lose. So if you're able to sell directly to your end customer, and when they have a problem, they come back directly to you as the brand and tell you why they didn't like that product, and they might even tell you what you can do to make it better. So that feedback loop is now directly with you and your end customer. And by building better products, you'll probably find that end customer is going to be a repeat customer. So the whole kind of thing that I always think about here is kind of the 80-20 rule. So my guess is, again, it's not a hard science, but 80% of revenue comes from 20% of customers. So there's probably 20% of your customers that are repeat customers. And why is that? Who are they? When are they purchasing? And why are they becoming repeat customers? That's hard to know when you're selling to somebody in the middle. You don't have that direct relationship, so you don't necessarily know why they're repeating. And then by the time you do figure it out, that trend of why they were doing that could even be changing. So, I think you first, again, should look at who are those repeat customers. And then once you know who that kind of demographic is, figure out why are they coming back and why are they consistently making purchases from you. And then I think the third piece is, if you have a pretty large catalog, it's what are they buying? Why are those repeat customers buying a very specific thing? So that's probably what I would focus on as an established brand at first, is those three things, because you're probably going to find out that it's a very specific subset of product. Again, if you have a larger catalog, if you're just selling one item, I get that it's not really relevant, but that can help you, because the problems that you'll have as an established brand creating a direct-to-consumer channel is that you're going to have channel conflicts with your current customers today, right? So you're selling to retailers, you're selling to wholesalers. Those have been your traditional customers for decades, right? They've been buying from you. They're your loyal customers, and by you establishing a direct-to-consumer channel, you're going to be competing directly with them. So I understand that's the number one thing I hear from everybody, but I think the answer is you're still the brand that's making those products. And as long as you don't undercut those brands and try to sell at a lower price, which you probably can and even be more profitable, I think that's the number one way to start. But the second way to avoid that whole problem in general is if you can find out who those 20% of customers are that are recurring and buying products from you, you can probably build exclusive products that you won't even sell to those retailers. So then there is no competition. These are products that you sell. You're the brand. You control it, and you're selling these separate of those retailers. So then that way, there's not really an actual competition over those brands. And then I think really the last piece that is a kind of a stumbling block for established brands is expertise in this space. So sure, established brands can go build a website and put all their products on there. I see it all the time. And then they say, why am I not getting the sales that I expect? This is a trivial channel, small revenue growth opportunity for me. And, the way I like to kind of approach that without directly saying it in a a rude way is just, you don't have the expertise. You're not doing it right if that's the case. You need somebody that understands how to build great digital experiences. Just because you have a website doesn't mean that somebody on their mobile phone is going to love using it. And, reducing the steps to that purchase path is very, very important. So if the site is clunky to use, if you're selling apparel and you can't easily sort by color or by size or by category or all three at the same time, that's a clunky experience, and a user can't find what they want and they bounce. So I think expertise on the experience, number one, is very important. Number two is analytics and data. If you're not analyzing data on, I don't want to say day to day, but if you're not looking at that day to day and looking at different pieces, what's the path when the consumer comes to your direct to consumer experience? What page do they land on first, and then what are they doing second? What are they doing third? What's the highest bounce rate? So if people are leaving before they even get to your cart, that's probably a very good indication that they're not necessarily even finding what you're selling. So if you see a lot of people adding to the cart, but they're not actually proceeding with checkout, then you can look there. And if you see people making it to checkout, but not actually going through the final payment process, maybe it's because you're only offering credit card. Maybe you should consider offering Apple Pay or Google Pay or Amazon Pay, or these things that make it very easy for a consumer to click one button because all of their credit card information is already there. So that's kind of the second piece, and that goes together with engagement and data. And then the third piece is if you're not looking at the data in terms of demographics and who you're sending to your site and why you're sending to your site, that's a third thing. So I think you need to make sure that you have somebody that understands what they're doing. And I'm not saying you need to go pay a very high paid agency, but you need to find somebody who at least knows what they're doing at a very bare minimum to get started, and ideally train somebody on your team to maybe handle that as time goes on. So, I think these are the reasons why brands should establish these channels. Again, the number one thing being competition, and seeing that consumers are looking for a better experience. That's why I think established brands need to move to a direct to consumer channel as soon as possible. Just because building this is not easy, it's time consuming, but it's the better way to do it, I think, for the long term. And once consumers get a taste of a better experience from some of these digitally native vertical brands that are right on your tail, if you're not offering the same experience that they are, you're going to see dwindling numbers. And this is the way to survive, I think, into the future. So hopefully this is helpful. This is a conversation I have with prospects all the time, and these are the really high level pieces of how to just start and create a better experience. So that's been another episode of the Direct to Consumer Academy. Hopefully this was helpful and eye-opening, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.